The first angle is working as an upcoming executive in the industry. I am one of the first graduate employees in this industry. Before we came on board, the out-of-home business was populated by people they call carpenters. So as a young graduate, we had this challenge of when we meet people and co, they ask us what you do, and you tell them we're into out-of-home business. And first of all, they look at you and say, even the name of our company was not known. That time, people only knew Afromedia. So the first thing we had to do was to market our new company and market ourselves. So that kind of shaped us. Now we are not, we are going to be part of those that will make the industry to be known, and so and not to be seen as carpenters. And so the evolution that followed then suggested that the right people had to come to the industry, and so our employers then saw tomorrow when they took us that time. So I think that's the definition, and I worked in a place where you needed to prove your worth, otherwise you will be shown the way out. And so even as young managers, you had to take your destiny into your hands and do things a little bit differently. And so from then on, I knew that the only saving grace is hard work and more work. And so when you get rewarded for what you do, what you did, the reward for hard work becomes more work. So that is what I learned, and that has defined me. Now the next defining moment is when I now entered into the management of the association, and it was a conscious move. And I mean by what I mean by conscious move is that when LASA came in 2006 or thereabout, we needed to have a focus as an industry, and so we challenged the leadership then. And in response to the challenge, the president then recruited me into the ESCO of the association. And since then, it also changed my attitude, because I now took the management of the association seriously and rose from being an appointed executive member to the height of the association by leading the association for 4 years. So I think those are the defining moments for me, both as an employee and as a manager of the association. Well, I think the biggest transformation is yet to come. We are evolving, but I met the use of plywood and wooden structure. I made the use of starch. I remember that as a young executive, I had starch poured all over me because I wanted to learn how to do everything. Because I believe that you have to learn to be able to supervise your subordinates. So we evolved from there to what we used to call prime board. Now in 1991 or thereabout, Razi Razaki, the then governor of Lagos State, removed all the boards in Lagos. And that brought a challenge. That challenge led us into designing a board type that we used to call prime board, and that is a small 40 sheet board. Then it was difficult to even come up with that. But I am privileged and fortunate to have worked in a company that is forward looking, because most of those designs were then done by that company. After the prime board, we went to super 48 sheet, and from there we now went to the spectaculars. After the spectaculars, we now have all sorts of boards that do not have any particular name, because you now build according to the size of the space you have. And in between, we got the digital boards, the LED boards. Initially, when the LED boards came, the first set of boards that came, the society felt it wasn't ripe, and so the board that was on Ojueleba Road, that was in the Cook village, was brought down. But when the time came, the LED resurfaced, and today we have LED boards. I'm saying that this is not the end, because as technology evolves, we have much more things happening in the out of home. We have evolved, but we are still evolving. We still have a lot of opportunities there that are willing to be tapped. We only hope that the infrastructure will be right and the environment will be right, and government will give us the adequate support. Talking about challenges, we have from regulatory framework to the people who come into the industry to infrastructure. And so I think for me, the least of all is infrastructure, because much as it is costly to have an alternative, our members are finding alternatives to attack infrastructure, especially as it concerns the LED boards. But where we have issues in the area of regulation, and the fact that it is almost like an all-commerce industry. We don't have uniform regulation, and so when you are practicing in all parts of Nigeria, you have different kinds of regulation, and that can be challenging. We also have multiple regulation, but over time we have tried to work with OAAN to see what they can do. Areas where they can help us, they have been very helpful, and areas where they cannot, they have also advised that we also handle it in such a way that we can then be better disposed to work in. So those are our challenges, but we are not resting. We're also trying to find out ways of sorting out those challenges. Government at times have not been too fair. In a few instances, we have asked government to define what we are really doing. For instance, in Lagos, there was a time they wanted to concession the roads, and we then said to ourselves, do they really have the rights to concession the roads? So it is a challenge on its own. And that is what has taken us to the court presently, so the court can then interpret whether the state government can do that or not. So we have those challenges, but it won't stop us from what we are doing. We hope that ultimately we have a backing from the National Assembly to be able to moderate our industry better. Yeah, we welcome the signage agencies, because truly they have brought some sanity into the business. But it is difficult to have a uniform signage agency style, because our business fall under the local government purview. And so different states have different relationships with their local governments. It will then be difficult to say that one style fits all. And that is why we tend to have different challenges as we meet with different states. So in fact, in Delta State, for instance, where they have DELSA, the local governments in Warri Axis refuse to work with DELSA. And what that means is that you work with DELSA in some local governments and then work with local governments in some areas. If our business was a federal government related business, then you will be talking about uniformity. But it is under the local governments, and of course the states make laws for local governments. So it will be based on the kind of laws that the states make. You cannot have uniformity. It would have been good. And that is one of the challenges that we have. For us, you know that what we do is to place adverts that are given to us by clients. And so for me, we have worked on so many that I can't really remember what. When I was still on training in the agency, I liked the Vaseline baby range a lot. That advert was quite good. Some agencies have also come up with some wonderful adverts. I cannot forget the 7-Up advert that had what people are using now, that Fidelido advert. I'm sure you know that. And it drove sales a lot. So when at times when I feel that advert does not do much, when I remember such adverts, I know that adverts that are well done do a whole lot. So for us in the out-of-home business, we will rather be talking about the kind of formats that are interesting to us, because that is what we build. And a whole lot have also been quite, we have had some interesting adverts and billboards. Some I participated in bringing to life, like when the gantries came. I was working in a company that brought the first gantries alive, and I supervised the first gantries in Nigeria. So for billboards, I can tell you clearly that there are some that have been very, very interesting. And at least before other people begin to copy, they will make their impact. When the Unipo was built, it was also, that is the Unipo Spectacular, was also quite interesting. We don't create adverts, we just take what the agencies create and we put on our platforms. One challenge that I had that opened up the industry, I was a young manager in Kaduna, and I was working for a company called Optimum Exposures. When we did the directional signs, the first set of directional signs, managed by Now Merchant Bank then. I don't think Now Merchant Bank is still alive, but we were working for Now Merchant Bank. Now, anything that is done in Lagos, they want us to bring alive in the regions. And so I was asked to go and get rights in Kaduna to be able to do the directional signs. And I was pursuing it as a young manager. Then two companies came from Lagos and incorporated a company called Comdial. I can't forget. This has happened this was happening around 1992. So that's close to 3 years ago, but it's still very close to my heart. And so the company came overnight and used their might to get the rights in Kaduna. And because I was scared that the consequences would be very much on me, I now had to look for an alternative, and that alternative opened up the industry. As at that time, they didn't have billboards in Abuja. So when I went to Abuja, I looked at the airport road, and I said, if I now get these 36 kilometers of the airport road, then my company will be happy. And indeed, I pursued it and I got it. And then my company named that road Presidential Road, and we made a lot of money for 10 years. That was the saving grace. So that, to my mind, is something I can't forget. And in things that I'm writing, I cannot forget that experience. So that was a very good challenge, and how I escaped the challenge by getting an alternative that was then much more important than even the directional sign approval that I was asked to get. The younger people of today are not the same with us. The things I hear today, I never had before, and that is why I have to get out of the system very fast before I get corrupted in my old age. And so, I think that hard work still pays. Seeking knowledge still is important. When you pay your dues, other things are added. And you can only pay your dues after learning the work. We have a lot of half-baked young people who think that as marketing executives or marketing or operations executives, when they see small checks being made, they think that that business is good, and they get out without proper training. And so what we then see is that the industry is being spoiled by half-baked executives. We really want the industry to talk about it and see how we can train our young people to know that there's a right time to sow and the right time to reap. That is one. Now for women, I am a strong believer in giving women the opportunity. In our company here, the woman is the head of the company. I'm on my way out. She's the general manager, and she's running and doing very well. And at the industry level, as president, I encourage the association to start the women out of home business, out of home association. The essence is to bring women, talk about their specific needs, and see how to groom women into leadership positions. Because I'm a strong believer that women make very good managers. And if they're given the opportunity, they will help this industry grow. And I have given the support to OAAN to see that they can then use their platform to bring up women and encourage women to also become chief executives of various companies and start up their own too if they have the strength to go ahead with that. So I'm a strong believer in women. One of the guiding principles I have is that my word remains my bond. I like my name. I don't want my name to be messed up. And so if I give you a word, I bend backwards to to keep my word. My integrity, I will not play with it. And I joke with them that there are things that we cannot accept as a company. So that I will not play with. As president of the association, I rather will want you to ask other people how I manage the association, because I do not want to sound as if I am praising myself, but at the risk of being immodest, I think we did well. I think we had the strength of character to challenge a few things. While being president, I took various state governments to court. Some we won, some we lost, and we are still in court, in Lagos especially. So we took some very strong decisions, because if you don't challenge certain things, your rights will be abused. And so my members should tell you how far, whether they were happy with us or not. I will leave that for them to judge. So I have been in the industry since 1990, and although most people do not know that I'm going to be 60, some think that I'm older because I stayed early, and that's why, as much as possible, I do not like to discuss my age, but I'll be 60 on Friday, and I'm happy to be 60. It feels good to be 60. I think I've had many good, fun memories. I don't know that I want to talk about them, because I'm trying to pen down a book, but I have had a good life. Growing up was fun. I remember those days we used to shop in Kingsway. You don't know about Kingsway. Kingsway used to be shopping, what people will call shopping malls now, but there were very few foreign supermarkets then. Growing up was fun. And I think maybe adulthood became a little bit difficult, but I still enjoyed myself, and I'm still enjoying myself. My needs are very few, and so because my needs are very few, I don't think I've ever had any major challenge in life, apart from maybe 2 years in secondary school when I didn't like the situation in boarding school. At the moment I changed school, life continued. So I've had. Some people do not think I'm easygoing. Some people feel that I'm very strict, and but I think I'm easygoing. Those who understand me know that I'm easygoing, because, for instance, if I agree with you to do something, I expect you to do it. I also expect that if you cannot do it, you should come back to me before the deadline to say, I cannot do this because of this. Now, if it gets to that deadline and you don't tell me, I will come for you. And that is when they say I'm difficult. So you may need to ask my colleagues whether I'm easygoing or not. I think they'll be the ones to say, my GM has spent 15 years with me, so she's in a good position to know whether I'm easygoing. But most people think I am not. But what they say is that they know I'm strict, and I don't have a problem with being strict. But I also reward hard work, and I reward good behavior and go, but I cannot tolerate bad behavior. Again, like I said, I am somebody that is a very contented person. And I keep saying that if the second to the last place I worked gave me, even if it is 5% profit sharing, I probably would not have thought about moving out. So, I like to work. Up till now, I like to work. And so after leaving I've been MDs of 2 companies, I now decided to set up my own when it was obvious that I had to get out. I have not done any other job apart from out of home. If I had done any other thing, I probably would have gone to work for somebody else. So setting up opportunity to see is like a child of necessity, because I needed to survive. And then also I didn't start early. I started late, because most of my mates had started their own before me, but I didn't have interest in. I was just contented in living my life. And so when we decided to start Opportunity to See, we also felt that since we were coming late, we should start with a name that will be recognized. If you call it once, nobody will say, I forgot your name. And so we chose opportunities. And God has been faithful because our growth was also very, very good for us. I mean, all the people that we met gave us business. That also goes back to the fact that when they were relating with me on the other side, they felt I did well. And so we can only thank God for where we are today. We live in collaboration. I think that, in fact, both internationally and locally, we should all collaborate. Because it's lack of collaboration that has made our environment so bad. If you have a friend that is a marketing manager today, and the person says he will give you one bill, but instead of you to collaborate with somebody who already has, you will go and build one. The bill is good for the industry. It is not a duplication. Now, I like you to look at the OAAN law. The OAAN law is very clear about their mandate. They are supposed to regulate all manner of communication that the public will consume. So that they are consuming the right advertising messages. Now that is what OAAN does as it concerns our business. OAAN also registers the company that performs the advertising function and gives them corporate membership. That is very good. We are not talking about that kind of thing. Now, OAAN cannot give you sites. If you want site, you cannot go to OAAN. OAAN cannot decide to this type of board you are going to put anywhere. So, it is important to note that we are standing on two legs. The leg that has the content and then the leg of having the billboard itself. And we are saying to ourselves that if the Constitution has given our business to the local government, it means that because Schedule 4 says that our business is supposed to be controlled by the local government, and that is the impetus the state government has used to set up the signage agencies. So if the Constitution has given that to them, it is for some reasons. And that is why OAAN cannot help us in certain areas. If today Lagos wants to remove all the billboards on the road, OAAN cannot stop them. When Lagos decided to do concession, OAAN could not say anything about it. And so we have areas that we need to handle ourselves. Today we are an association under the trusteeship. We want to be a proper body that is recognized by law and can take its destiny into its hands. I already told you about the easy entry. You can come in and go out as you like. Today, for you to be a lawyer, you have to go to school and then go to law school. Because if you have spent 20 years in a law firm, that will not make you a lawyer. And so we are saying that for you to be an out-of-home practitioner, beyond being an advertising practitioner, you should come and stay with us. As we register with OAAN, so we are saying that instead of OAAN being an association, let it be a fit and proper body. So you will still come and register with OAAN after being licensed by OAAN. So OAAN will give you license, OAAN will give you registration. So that at the end of the day, we can tell Lagos State Government or LASA, these are the people that you're supposed to deal with. Today, even LASA has confessed to us that they don't know some of the people who own some of the billboards that they have in Lagos. With that kind of deal, these things will be things of the past. I think that what we need is understanding. What is being peddled in our environment is that we want to duplicate, and so after getting license from APCON, you also go and get license from the chartered body that we are talking about, and we are saying no. APCON should remember that before 1988, we were practicing advertising, but it was the APCON law that gave them the kind of recognition that they have today, that even necessitated the impetus to have APCON. So we are trying to organize ourselves in such a way that APCON organize themselves. Practitioners organize themselves before 1988. There is no cause for worry. And that's why we have been meeting with various stakeholders to explain to them that we are still part of them. I'm a fellow of advertising. I'm not going to run away from that. So that is where we are.